Okay. All right, guys. Hello. Welcome to week 6 of our internship program. I know some of you guys were on retreat or somewhere else last week. So why don't we go around the room introducing ourselves. We'll do this every time there's a new person who's coming. So we'll start with Lindsay. Just your name, age, and where you go to school.
My name is Lindsay Kim. I'm 14 and I go to school at New Hyde Park Memorial High School.
Thank you. Senin?
My name is Lauren. I'm 14 and I go to school at Rosslyn High School.
Chloe?
My name is Chloe. I'm 15 and I go to Great Neck South.
Porter?
My name is Porter. I'm 16 and I go to Great Neck South.
Ian?
My name is Ian. I'm 17 and I go to Bronx Science.
Joseph?
Joseph. I'm 16. I go to Bronx.
Hannah Yang?
Yes.
Hannah Yang.
I'm 15 and I go to Marymount.
It's Claire?
I'm Claire. I'm 15 and I go to St. Mary's.
Nice.
I'm Iman. I'm 16. I go to Stuyvesant High School.
I'm Yeji. I'm 15 and I go to Bronx Science. I'm 15 and I go to St. Mary's.
Nice. Thank you, guys. And Ian? Ian Chung?
I'm Ian Chung, and I go to Stateville High School.
You're kind of cutting out there, but Ian's one of our New York interns, so he'll be joining us, I think, on Wednesday. Is that correct?
Yeah.
Okay. All right. So the plan for today is we're going to do a lecture, and then after that, we're going to have a small group discussion. And then I'm going to introduce you guys to a new series that we're doing here at KACE. It's called Trailblazers, where you guys are going to learn about influential Korean Americans and Koreans who helped you guys who helped you guys be here today, right? And then in the afternoon, we're going to have a public speaking workshop. After the public speaking workshop, hey, hi, what's your name? Jonathan Sim, right? Introduce yourself to us, your name again, your age, and where you go to school, please.
My name is Jonathan Sim. I go to Bronx Science.
Nice. Have a seat, Jonathan. And then we're going to get started on a project that some of you guys were here for to learn about. It's called the Comfort Woman Project. Okay, I'll be doing a short recap with you guys just to go over what it is, and then we'll be dividing you guys up into groups, and you guys will be working on that. Okay, so that's the lesson plan for today. The theme for this week is state and local governments. So last week, for those of you guys who were here, Austin led the lectures for the federal government. Okay, so we learned about the executive branch, the legislative branch, and the judicial branch in the federal government. Now, a lot of you guys know how the federal government is structured and how it works, right? But a lot of you guys don't know how the state and local governments are structured. Most of it's in the same way, right? So they follow a similar structure to the federal government, but there are differences for each state, right? And we'll be going into that today. And I'll be teaching you guys about what the state and local governments in New York look like and what they look like in New Jersey. So the executive branch in New York's state government is comprised of mainly 6 offices. So the first one is the governor, right? Does anyone know who the governor is today? Nobody? All right, we'll go into it. It's Kathy Hochul, right? The lieutenant governor, who's next in line, the attorney general, the secretary of state, the comptroller/treasurer, and then what's called the executive government. So you guys can think of this as the president, the vice president, and their cabinet, all right? It's just a state's version of that executive branch. For the legislative branch, we have a bicameral legislature. Now, every single state except for Nebraska, I believe, has a bicameral legislature, okay, state legislature. In New York, we call it the state senate, which has 63 seats, and the state assembly, which has 150 seats. So you guys can think of this as the Senate and the House of Representatives at the federal level, okay? And both of them are on 2-year terms. As for the judicial branch, it's kind of confusing, but not really. So whereas the federal government has the Supreme Court at the top of its hierarchy, for New York State, it's called the Court of Appeals. Okay? The Court of Appeals is the highest court in New York. And then we have, below that, the Supreme Courts. Okay? And then we have county courts. So the Supreme Courts deal with everything, essentially, from daily daily cases to things that wouldn't be covered by the Court of Appeals, but at that level. Now, if the Supreme Courts can't arrive at a decision, or if there's an appeal to go to a higher court, that's when you go to the Court of Appeals. Okay? So this is the bone and structure of how the New York State government looks like. Now we'll be going into more in-depth in terms of what they all look like. Okay? So this is the executive branch of New York. The main role is to implement and enforce laws passed by the state legislature. Right? This is the state flag of New York, Excelsior, Excel. Does anyone know what this phrase here says? E pluribus unum. Yes, Richard?
Can you share the screen so we can see?
Oh my goodness, you are completely right. Ian, I'm so sorry. I completely forgot to share the screen. So we just went over this slide. I'll share the slides with you later on so you can see what we're talking about. Let's go ahead for now. Does anyone know what E pluribus unum means? Nobody? You have a guess, Chloe? No? It means out of many, one. Okay? So it's supposed to speak to the diversity of America as a multicultural nation. Out of many, one. Okay? If you guys are into speeches, it's also what Barack Obama said in his 2004 keynote speech, E pluribus unum. So the governor is Kathy Hochul, Democratic. The governor acts as a state manager. Currently, she's responsible for enforcing state laws and overseeing the operation of the executive branch. She can also appoint cabinet members and state court judges. So the executive government isn't just in charge of state laws, but she's also overseeing the entire executive government. That includes all the departments we have here in New York City, in New York State. And there's over 20 executive departments there. So she's kind of in charge of appointing the heads of these departments and making sure that they do a good job. The lieutenant governor is Antonio Delgado, also a Democrat. The lieutenant governor acts as a next in line to the governor, right? He or she is also the principal advisor to the governor, and when they're in Senate, they're the president of the state Senate. The attorney general is Letitia James, Democrat. She's the chief legal officer of New York State. So her primary role is to prosecute those that violate commercial law, right? So New York City, if you guys have been to Manhattan, has Wall Street, right? We're kind of stringent on commercial law. Also, we're pretty much one of the biggest states there. So her job is very, very important in order to make sure that everyone's following the rules. She determines law enforcement policy, as well as defending actions and proceedings on behalf of the state. Okay? So when the state has a mandate, right, for COVID, when the state is trying to do something, the Attorney General will also come out and provide justifications for that under the law. And we have the Secretary of State, Robert J. Rodriguez. The Secretary of the State acts as a business and election chief official. They regulate business and professions, registers corporations, and maintains business records. It's kind of different from the Secretary of State that we see in the federal government, right? There's no diplomacy here, really. The Secretary of State is usually responsible for business and regulations. Last of all, we have the comptroller, who's also called the treasurer in New Jersey, Thomas DiNapoli. The comptroller acts as the chief fiscal officer. They run the state's finances and they monitor tax revenue, as well as the efficient usage of taxpayer money for public projects. Okay? So he's kind of the guy who keeps the bank floating and keeps everyone accountable in terms of how they spend their dollars. All right? So this is the overlay of the executive branch in New York State. Any questions so far? Any questions? Okay. You guys can also interrupt me during the presentation if you have any questions, okay? All right, moving on. Now we have the legislative branch of New York. Okay. The main role of the legislative branch of New York is to enact laws, levy state taxes, handle the budget, and receive policy proposals from the governor. So in this way, it's kind of similar to how Congress works, right? They have a direct relationship to the governor. Their job is to pass legislation, and their job is to discuss laws. New York State's legislature is bicameral, divided into the state Senate and the state assembly. The New York State Senate has 63 seats, 2-year terms, no term limits. They approve laws and bills and appointments from the governor. This is the current layout, the demographics of how the state Senate is divided up today. There's 63 seats total, 42 Democrats and 21 Republicans. So it's a Democrat majority Senate. And if you guys see here, Andrea Stewart Cousins, she's the president pro tempore. So what that means, Austin went over this kind of in the federal government section. The pro tempore is the temporary president. Okay? So the lieutenant governor is supposed to be the president of the Senate, but the lieutenant governor is sometimes not in office, right? He's out doing other things. He's busy with other things. So when the lieutenant governor is not in the Senate, the president pro tempore takes over as the president, the acting president for that day. Robert G. Ort, who's a minority leader, so he's the Republican leader there. By the way, she's also the majority leader. Kevin Parker, the majority whip, and Patrick Gallivan, the minority whip. So these two are Republicans, these two will be Democrats. Then there's the New York State Assembly, right? It's like the House. There's 150 seats, 2-year terms, no term limits. Currently there's 102 Democrats and 48 Republicans. So again, it's a Democratic majority. Their job is to propose laws and bills, pass them, and also change tax rates. Currently, Carl Heastie is the Speaker of the Assembly, Jeffrey Aubrey is the Speaker pro tempore, and Crystal People-Stokes, Majority Leader, and William Barclay, the Minority Leader. So this is all stuff that's helpful for you guys to know. You don't need to memorize this, but just in case you hear this on the news, or someone's talking about this with your family and friends, you guys know who they're talking about. Any questions so far? All right. I'm going to take that as a good sign. It means that I made a good presentation. Okay. So now we're going into the judicial branch. The judicial branch is kind of complicated, but I'm going to try my best to make this as simple as possible for you guys because doing this was a headache for me too. Okay. I don't want you guys to go through all that headache too. The main role of the judicial branch is to settle legal disputes, interpret state law, and execute justice, right? So that's a broad framework. How does that actually work in real life? The New York judicial system is divided as such, okay? At the lowest level in green, you have the Supreme and county courts. Actually, you have the district and city courts, which then feed into the Supreme and county courts. So the courts in green here are the courts that deal with daily affairs, right? They're kind of the courts that are spread out every day, everywhere, and they're sort of there to deal with everyday things. Then you go into the appellate courts. The appellate courts are an intermediate court between the Supreme Court and the Court of Appeals, right? So they deal with higher stuff, but not to the point where it gets to the Court of Appeals. The Court of Appeals is either when you messed up big time, right? Or you have a really big case on you, right? It's the last resort. That's the highest court in New York. So that's the flow of how these things go. The district and city courts feed into the Supreme and county courts. They then feed into the appellate courts, which then goes to the Court of Appeals. Now, if the Court of Appeals has a really controversial case, that's a constitutional matter, it goes to the federal Supreme Court, right? But usually, for state affairs, it ends there. That's the hierarchy of how things go. These are the current justices sitting in the Court of Appeals. You don't need to know all of them, right? But you do need to know there are 7 justices currently. And they serve for life. Similar to the Supreme Court. So this is just a summary of what I said so far. Okay? There are courts in all 62 counties. And one thing I should mention to you guys is that the Senate and the State Assembly both have different districts. Okay? So the Senate has Senate districts. There's 62 or 63. Does anyone remember? 63, good. 63 districts for senatorial elections. And there's 150 other districts that might overlap with the Senate districts that are voting for state assemblymen. Okay? So when you guys are researching about elections or there's local elections happening at your place, you got to make sure you know which district you're in and what it's voting for. Because you might be in one district for senatorial elections, you might also be in another election district for state assembly. Right? So best to make sure that you're in the right spot. Now, that's the state level of how the government functions, okay? So state level would be the highest level of government in New York. Executive, governor, lieutenant governor, attorney general, secretary of state, comptroller, executive government. Legislature would be state senate, state assembly. And judicial branch would be the Court of Appeals and the Supreme Courts. That's the state level. Now we're getting to local governments, because New York has over 100 different counties, boroughs, townships, and cities, right? It's not just Manhattan, right? There's also the Bronx, there's also Nassau County, there's a lot of places here. Long Island too. So every county, borough, township, and city has its own executive, legislative, and judicial structure. They each have their own 3 branches, okay? Now, just to make this clear to you guys, we're not going to go over every single branch and what they look like for every single county or district or township, because that's going to be a headache, right? We're just going to look at the local government of New York City. So for New York City, which is 5 boroughs, can anyone tell me what the 5 boroughs are? Let's start with 1. What's 1 borough? Judy. Queens. Second one. Ugman. Manhattan. Anna. Bronx. Sunny. Brooklyn. Ian. Last one, don't forget. You know that one like island? Good. Nice. Everyone forgets about it, but don't do that, okay? They're one of us, right? They're one of us.
Are they?
They are, Ugman. They are, okay? As long as Eric Adams stands, it's one of us. All right, so you guys know who Eric Adams is, right? You've heard of him on the news. He's the executive, right? He's the mayor of New York City. The mayor is sort of like the governor on a local scale, right? They ensure smooth operation of city departments and projects, enforcing city, state, and federal laws within NYC. They also appoint and remove department officials, right? Now, one thing I really want Eric Adams to do is to renovate the subway system. He's also in charge of that, technically. The legislative branch is the New York City Council. There's 51 seats, 45 majority goes to Democrats, and 6 minorities go to Republicans. So it's also a Democratic majority seat. The New York City Council is different from the New York State government because it's a unicameral legislature. Unicameral means there's only one institution, one body. 51 seats, 4-year terms, 2-term limit. Okay? The structure is divided also into speaker, majority, minority leaders. It's currently headed by Speaker Arian Adams, Democrat. The New York City Council is supposed to serve as a check against the mayor, right? They monitor the performance of city agencies. They're accountable for that. They approve the city budget. They also have various standing committees, just like Congress. Okay? So some of you guys went to District 19's candidate forum, right? Some of you guys have seen Christopher Bay. Hey, Joseph. Joseph, could you introduce yourself, your name, your age, the school that you go to, please?
My name is Joseph Ken. I'm going to be a rising junior, and I go to PWJ High School.
Nice. Sorry to put you on the spot, by the way, but we're doing this for all the guys who come in. Okay. So Christopher Bay, who's running for District 19, if he succeeds, he's going to be a city councilman for District 19. He's going to be part of the New York City Council, and his job is going to be exactly this: to hold the mayor accountable, to monitor the performance of city agencies, to approve the city budget. Okay? And last but not least, we have the judicial branch, right? It's divided into various courts in New York City. There's the New York City Civil Courts, the Criminal Courts, and the Court of Appeals. Right? On the left, you have Alvin Bragg, who's the District Attorney of Manhattan. Right? He's in charge of prosecution of state laws in Manhattan. And there's 4-year terms. The civil courts, obviously, are in charge of civil cases. Criminal courts in charge of misdemeanor and lesser offenses. Higher cases and hearings are handed to the Court of Appeals, the same Court of Appeals that we talked about for the state government. Okay? So this is what a very bare bones overview of the state and local governments in New York look like. Right? Joseph, I know you just got here. I'm going to share the slides with you so you can take a look at it later on, okay? That's what it looks like. Are there any questions about how any of this works or about any of the people on here? No? All right. Okay, I'm going to give you guys a short 5-minute break, and then we'll reconvene at 10:30, okay? Ian, you're on a 5-minute break, by the way, if you could hear me.
Yeah. Okay.
Excuse me. Richard, do you have the list of Comfort Woman project topics for these guys to do? I know you had that sheet of paper. I took a picture of it. I don't know where it is. Yeah. Okay. It's for the afternoon, so yeah. I just need. Okay, I just need it before then, so I can give the guys topics. Just a quick show of hands. We have a field trip this Thursday. How many of you guys are coming? Okay. So for those of you guys who are coming, you guys turn in your permission slips in your scheduler, right? Yeah. Yeah. The one where your parents have to sign for you. Yeah, that one. I'll give you guys a short overview of where we're going this week on Thursday, so you guys have an idea of where we're going. It's gonna be a fun little trip. I'm finally gonna be able to meet you guys in Manhattan instead of commuting all the way here. All right, guys. Using this information that I just gave you, I want you guys to individually research your own district for the next 30 minutes, okay? So find out which district you live in, right? And then you should search up who's the state senator for your district, who's also the city council person for your district, okay? Who was in the primary elections for your district this year, and who's up for the general elections coming up in November, right? So those are the 4 questions. Which district do you live in? Who's your state senator? Who's your council person? And who's up for elections this year, okay? Now, for your state senators and your council people, council person, I want you guys to create a short infographic, short 1-page presentation about their name, age, their education, and their policy platforms, all right? So what are their most important issues or policies that they stand up for? What are some things that they've been advocating for? Okay. This is going to be the foundations for your election guides work later on in the internship, where we're going to be creating an election guide together to help people know who their elected officials are. But in order for us to help these people know who their elected officials are, you guys got to know it first. Okay? So the next 30 minutes is going to be devoted to that time. And ask me if you guys have any questions. Yeah, Joseph. Yes, of course. There's one right here. I'll just put it right here since nobody's sitting here. Yeah.
Thanks.
Of course.
So is there Wi-Fi here?
Yes. Richard, what's the Wi-Fi password again?
There's a QR code right over there. Electrical room inside.
QR code?
There's also one next to where Judy's sitting.
Oh, right there. Okay.
This is for in case any emergencies.
Sure.
Make sure you keep track of the rounds. And this is the basic outline of the ordinance.
Okay, thanks.
Those books over there stacked on top of that speaker are the books.
Yeah, I see them.
And those cups are in case anyone wants water. We also have snacks back here, these vegetable things, and then we also have mini croissants.
Ooh.
We also have iced coffee, but for high school students, I'd say stay with the coffee until you're done going. You want.
Yeah, I mean, I drank coffee when I was in high school. That's why I didn't grow as much as I like to. Take it from me, guys. So we're going to reconvene at 11. Okay, guys? 11. When you're done, I want you to share your presentation or share your slide with me. It's ryan.lee@case.org. Just ask me for my email again later on. Yeah, just scan the QR code there. Actually, the password is case3511. It's case guest. Password is case3511. Sorry, Joseph, just going to move. Ian, sorry. I get your names confused. Don't take it personally. Yeah, sorry about that.
Are we able to connect?
You got it?
Cap lock on, dude.
No, I don't.
Could be fine.
Yeah. Yeah, so what district do you live in? Who's your state senator? Who's your council person? And who's going to be up for elections this year? Now, you're going to have you might have 2 different districts. I said Senate and Assembly have different districts. Just search them up individually for each one then. Yeah?
How do you know what
Distance, like on the estimate.
All right, we're going to get started.
Do you guys have a memorial for like the two?
All right, guys, we are going to get started. We're going to start with Lindsay, okay? Lindsay, take it away.
Okay. This is Jack M. Martins. He's a part of the Republican Party. He's 56 years old. He
56.
studied at St. John's University and American University. He was elected November 8th, 2022, but he was assumed into office January 1st, 2023. I had trouble finding policies, but what I found was he had policies to reduce taxes, reduce heroin and opium abuse, and also prevent New York from entering into a state contract.
What does that mean? State contract?
I don't know.
I guess we'll find out later. He does not look 56.
Really? He looks scared.
He looks 30 something.
Solid 40. I think he dyed his hair.
Solid 40. All right, so that's for which district, Lindsay?
District 7.
And that's for the state senator, right?
Yeah,
State
District
senator,
7.
7th district. All right, nice. If you guys have overlapping ones, then, you guys can go ahead and add some more information. All right, next up. This seems like the same guy.
Yeah, it is the same guy.
Do you have anything else that you want to add to Jack Martin's heading?
Well, for his policies and platforms, I
Ooh,
see that he supports New York's property tax cap and the anti-tax repeal. He also opposes common core standards and opposition to cashless bail. And
Nice.
he won against Anna Kaplan, a Democrat, in the general election.
so it was a flip, right? From
Yes.
Democrat to Republican. Nice. So you guys remember his face?
It was so blurry.
All right, who did this one?
Well, that's a
All right, Ian, Joseph, you want to go next?
So this is the New York State Senate for District 11, and her name is Sylvia Stavisky. She's a Democrat, and she held a seat 1999.
Hey,
She's currently 84 years old. And she
oh
was
my.
born and raised on Upper West Side of. She was the first woman from Queens in the state senate, and the first woman in the state assembly. She has a Bronx Science.
Last year, she sponsored a bill that would give state health insurance coverage to unauthorized immigrants, and she claimed that New York's bail reform laws have had no clear impact on the increase in crime.
Ooh, bail reform laws. That's something we'll go over in a few weeks. I'll teach you guys what that is. Unless you guys already know what the bail reform laws are. Any hands? Good. All right, I don't have to scrap that lesson plan. Nice. All right, thank you guys. Okay, who did this gentleman over here?
I did it.
Joe Kim?
Yeah.
All right, take it
So I
away.
did District 5, and his name is Stephen D. Rhodes. He's a Republican. He is serving the term from 2023 to 2025. His education is a bachelor's. He went to State University of New York, Albany, 1991 Law, Hofstra University, 1994. I guess like a fun fact about him that I didn't really write was he served as for 30 years as a volunteer firefighter. That's what I guess got him the most votes for him saying that. But his policies are will be fighting to repeal dangerous bail laws that free killers, gang members, drug dealers, and other violent felons from jail. He also will prioritize public safety. He'll work with police officers to ensure that they have resources. And he will work to ease property taxes and protecting the property tax cap and enhancing property tax rebate checks.
Nice. So you guys can already see there's some conflicting policies between Democrats and Republicans, right? Like the first one, this guy's against bail reform. Toby Savitsky is for bail reform. Okay. District, wait, hold on, is it 16 or 7? 7, okay. Go on.
District 7 covers northwestern Nassau County on Long Island. And Senate District 7 is represented by Jeff M. Martin, who is a Republican.
Nice.
He represents District 7 as a Republican. He was born on June 19th, 1967. He's currently 66 years old. He assumed office
No
on
way.
January 1st, 2010 and 2023.
received a bachelor's degree in political science from American University and a Juris Doctor from St. John's University.
Wait, hold on. Are those cats supposed to be part of his suit, or did you add them on board him?
I added them.
Nice. Makes it more personable.
He passed a 2% property tax cap. He voted to cut income tax for middle class homeowners. He voted to repeal MTA payroll tax. He implemented New York Works, helping create 1,639,400 free state education aid by 19 Long Island schools, and fought against Common Core. He established new state fund to provide for homeless veterans, and he sponsored legislation that would provide New York and prevent New York from entering a state contract or investment. A state contract, which is an agreement or contract with state agency, or any quasi-public agency with those who boycott Israel or other American.
Aha. Okay, that makes more sense. Nice. That's very detailed. So that's what it means for a state contract with those who boycott Israel or other American allies. So I'm guessing he's pro-Israel. I don't know if this statistic is verified or not. It sounds like it's something that he would say.
It was from 2010.
Oh. It's like website thing? Oh.
He said that he did it, so he should be voted in again.
He created 139,000 jobs by himself? Wow.
Said on his website.
No credit to others.
This dude's a machine. He should be president. Why is he stuck here? All right, who did this one? Hannah and Claire? Nice, awesome. Hold on, let me present this for you guys. Boom. Technology. All right. Go on.
Okay, so for District 26, Edward Bronstein is the state assembly person, and he's a Democrat. He's 42, and he received a bachelor in science degree in finance from the State University of New York in Albany. And he created legislations to cap the increase in property tax assessments for cars and condos, provide tax credits for small businesses that hire senior citizens, protect New Yorkers from fraudulent attorneys, protect consumer privacy, prevent sex offenders from residing within 1,000 feet of a school, and require campuses to provide local law enforcement on campus violence and prison.
For District 16, Jonathan Liu is the Democratic New York State Senator. 56, and who went to Hunter College science thing in mathematical physics. Some of his legislation is include like equal access bill mandating on-demand lender services. He also did like things like running more resources like podcasts. That's one of his like he emphasizes it's not just about numbers, it's about people, but championing like fairness and equality. He's also the first Asian American elected to citywide office. And another legislation, Dignity for All Schools Act, requiring that the bullying and harassing.
Nice. No one's from NYU. It's kind of sad. Ian, by the way, I'm so sorry. I keep forgetting about the one person in Zoom. It's my fault. I hope you're still there.
That's okay. Yeah, I'm still here.
Yeah, sorry about that, Ian. For this activity, actually, I don't think I gave you a group, but did you complete this assignment on your own?
I think so.
All right, could you share it with me on my email? All right. Nice. Thank you for that detailed presentation. That was great. Hold on. Judy Shen. District 11. EJ. Yerin, Chloe. Wait. Is that a different guy?
Same guy, different. He's older.
What? Okay. All right, let's start with Judy first.
I have the same person as
Them?
like Jonathan.
Oh, okay. Let's see if there's any more.
Joseph.
Toby answered he's from the Democratic Party, she's 84. She was senator since 1999 and re-elected January 1st of 2023. Like a bunch of different colleges and universities. And scientists went to claim that the university is here.
That's not money, right?
Nope.
She's been involved with a lot of like schools programs for older adults, social justice, and opportunities for older adults. And assisted small business also sponsored a bill that would give serious benefits.
But did she create 139,000 jobs though? That's a ridiculous statistic.
That's not the one for the job that we got. Next.
That's a ridiculous statistic. It's oddly specific too.
Yes, the numbers.
It would
I
be
mean, props to that guy, right? All right,
Alright,
Ungman?
so I covered the same District 16 as Claire and Hannah did for state senator. For state senator, it is still John C. Liu, and I just want to add that he was the 43rd former comptroller of New York and a former New York City council member, and he worked to improve the financial situation of the New York City budget. He was personally really into the fiscal service sector and used his experience as a manager and in some areas as I forgot what it was, but he did work in the a lot of economics. And he is also a trailblazer and a pioneer for being, as they said, the first Asian American in the legislative government for New York.
Nice.
And then next, I have nothing to add here for before. And then here, you can skip that. They already covered it.
Wait, his pronouns are they?
I did that by autumn.
Oh.
It's he, but okay. Yeah, I never know. Alright, so I'm in District 25, not District 26 for the State Assembly, and so I have Neely Rosick. Okay, I should write that down.
I thought her name was Stout Democrat. Neely Rosick.
Yes.
I've seen her before. Nice.
Neely Rosick, 37, a stout Democrat, and not much on her bio, but I found that she works for the working middle class families, better education, and improved health care. And she did graduate from NYU, though I don't know the specifics.
We'll have to see it. Nice. Thank you, Ungman. You can clap if you want to. All right. Why don't you guys just give a standing ovation, huh? All right. Who did this? Flushing zip code 11358. All right, Yerin.
Okay, so
That's
I live
really
in
specific.
Zip code 11358, and
Okay.
I researched this district. And Flushing is part of the 16th state Senate district, along with the following neighborhoods in North Central Queens, which include Fresh Meadows, Bayside, and Auburndale. And our representative is John C. Liu, and he's an immigrant from Taiwan. He moved here when he was 5, and he's been a representative of the 16th Senate district, yeah. And he's been a representative since 2023 when he was elected. He was born in 1967. He attended the Bronx High School of Science, and he graduated from Binghamton University. And he was a New York City Council member 2022 to 2009, and he was a comptroller 2010 to 2013. And his policies include, he's an avid provider for his community, so he raises millions of dollars in funding for public programs, including libraries, schools, parks, senior citizen centers, and youth programs.
He also advocates against hate and bigotry. He has installed programs to help like immigrant workers in New York City, especially delivery workers. And John C. Liu has constantly spoke out against racism and misogyny in radio broadcasting and corporate sponsors who like, sponsor the radio broadcast.
It's also a big workout, dude. Guy's like buff. Yeah. Thank you, Yerin. Right. Seems like a different person, but Mr. Joaquim M. Martins.
Alright, so again, he was newly elected this year from 2023 to 2025 in District 7. He's 56 years old. He graduated from that high school. He got a bachelor's degree in political science. Chaminade High School.
Sounds fancy.
St. John's. From St. John's.
Apparently it is. Okay.
So a lot of his policy reflects the population of Long Island, which mostly consists of middle working class and suburban neighborhoods. So he campaigned for the increase of importance of Long Island over New York City and state government, the funding of the police in support of safety, lowering gas prices, the reduction of suburban families, and the reduction of taxes for middle class residents.
Yes.
And the statistic about like 100,000 jobs, his website says he implemented it. So I'm assuming that wording means he didn't create it, but it was offered to him, and that he was the one who was in office at the time.
Oh, so he took credit for it.
Yeah.
Yeah, Ungman, you might want to get to know this guy better before you support this dude. Everyone says lower taxes.
Yeah.
Yeah. Although that does sound appealing. Yeah. All right, Alexis. I'm just gonna let whoever did this pronounce that last name. Whose is this?
This is mine.
Hey, Ian.
So, I'm from State District 8, and this state representative is Alexis White. She's 50 years old. She assumed office on January 1st, 2023, and her current term ends on January 1st, 2025. She has degrees from Dowling College and Farmingdale State University, and some of her policies are standing up for law enforcement, and she's against bail laws. She supports cutting gas tax, reducing income taxes on middle-class families, and restoring property tax rebates, and she supports reopening businesses and schools.
Nice. Thank you, Ian. She does not look 50. I don't know when that photo is from, but wow.
Farmingdale State College is also very terrible.
Oh.
Yeah, it's
Well,
really bad.
guys,
Yes, all the Republicans come from bad
guys,
schools.
you guys are high school students, right? You never know if you're going to go to Farmingdale State University.
If I go there,
Come
I
on.
feel my parents.
Come on. You don't know that.
I feel my parents when I go there.
Oh,
Look, before Joe Biden, there was a trend of presidents coming from Ivy Leagues, right? And Joe Biden made headlines because he's one of the only guys who didn't come from the Ivy League. You don't know that, so don't judge people by their credentials, yeah? University of Delaware or something.
It's still
I mean, a lot of people hate him.
Huh?
A lot of people hate him.
A lot of people also like him, which is probably why he became president. So, don't judge people by their credentials. That's one thing that we Asian Americans, especially Korean Americans, are prone to doing. But you never know, right? Farmingdale State University might raise the next person who's going to save us from climate change. You never know that.
not with that 100% acceptance rate.
Maybe precisely because they're accepting everyone. You never know.
honestly, yeah, the Ivy Leagues, they're Ivy. The term Ivy League came because they were all like related by football.
They're a sports league.
Yeah.
All right, guys.
Just a sports league.
I'm going to give you guys a 5-minute break, so 7-minute break. So you guys have to be back here by 12, okay? All right, take a break, guys.
I'm a big football guy, so. They don't offer any scholarships. That's the worst part.
Oh, really? Wait, they don't?
They don't offer.
You okay? Here.
I'll just computer charge. What grade are you in?
Just don't trip over this, okay?
What grade are you in?
Yeah, how do y'all deal with the lack of
Are there
Wi-Fi?
like stores? Or like what do you mean?
Like last time I went to France, the Wi-Fi not so best. It was 20 minutes slowdown or something.
What are you trying to do? I'm making my dad a birthday.
Oh, you still do those? Gave up. He doesn't want anything from me. He always tells me he doesn't want anything.
Oh. Wait, how do you spell? Is this K like a K? Isn't it like this?
Excuse me, guys.
I would have so much back.
I recognize you by your voice. Mostly exactly.
Sorry. Richard, do you have a Band-Aid?
Yes.
Can I have one?
They do look different. I get that a lot.
Please?
I get that a lot.
Sorry, guys.
Receipt kits already.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
How do you open?
What you been up to? So, 8 hours.
Wait, the Washington DC trip is one day, right?
Yeah, one day.
Oh,
You regular?
To be at the bus at 6.
Yep.
Was that Chinese sport?
It's gonna be a long day,
Yeah.
but it's also gonna be fun.
I'm a great golfer. Mini golf.
I hope.
Smack you on.
I can't go.
You can't go?
I'll go.
Aw.
California.
California?
Short distance.
For vacation?
The nice obstacles.
Nice.
Like family there.
Oh, awesome. Where are you going to in California?
You serious? Aren't you golf?
I actually have no idea. I think we're going to San Francisco
Like
first.
it's different. It's so different.
I like it.
I've never been to LA.
No, and like the actual like.
I shouldn't.
I don't know. A lot of my friends say it's not worth going to, but I want to just go and give it a shot. Never know. I might like it. What do you think? Have you been to LA?
LA? Yeah. When I was like,
How many days? Like 5.
Uh-huh.
12.
I honestly forgot what it was. That's pretty fun.
Yeah.
Then what else do you need? You need to land in the sand, you just gotta make go up. So you need like 3.
You drive and then iron. No, you need at least 2 irons. At least 4.
You play any sports?
I play basketball.
You play basketball?
Yeah.
I used to play basketball back in my days.
Varsity.
Varsity, really?
Yeah. But varsity in South Korea is like JV here.
Oh.
Yeah.
There
is
that.
that.
Actually good. We made it to semis. Oh, we made it to finals for national. So
Wait, varsity or JV?
varsity.
Basketball?
Yeah.
You play varsity
I
basketball?
did not play.
It's hard playing varsity here, man.
Actually, I played during middle school, and then when I didn't practice, I went to high school. I made a top 5 in my grade, but they only took like 3 freshmen. So I was like the 2 freshmen that got. It was like in total there was 90 kids that tried out for a JV.
Yeah.
And they only accepted like 12, and I made it top 20.
Nice.
Then I didn't make it that. And the next year I was like, I'm not.
I mean, looking at you with your size, it's no surprise, man.
I play football now, so
Look, there's a deal right now. If you can beat me in basketball one-on-one at the place we're doing,
Yo.
I'll give you guys something.
Oh really?
Yeah.
Actually?
Yeah. I'm serious. I love you to try.
You gotta like.
I'm
do
serious.
something.
I'm scared.
If
I'm scared.
you don't,
Now the pressure's on me.
then you gotta do something good.
I
If he
would
doesn't,
I won't feel like I'm like
If he doesn't win,
yeah.
recreation.
he's got to do something.
Yeah, but I played varsity as a sophomore for football.
But
Varsity this year.
nah, not for now. Yeah, deal's up. Yeah, offer's always there. Huh?
But I'm still here.
It's in the first floor of the church that we have our meetings in.
What for?
What for? It's worth it. It's worth it. I can't say it here, but it's worth it.
The automatic credit.
There have been other kids who've tried. They've all failed. There have been 4 kids who've tried so far.
Let's put it out there, guys. I'm not that good.
Huh? Yeah. Do you play basketball, Claire? You used to? You might be able to beat me.
You know, this is my first time meeting here in like 5.5 years.
Oh, really? You guys used to know each other?
Yeah, we actually it's been a while.
Huh.
No, she said I asked.
We
how long,
bring
so she
people
said
together,
how
I
long.
guess.
I'm just taking her word
We
for
bring
it.
people together.
Oh no, yeah, 5.5.
Yeah.
Like sixth grade.
Yeah. Like,
By the way, it's horse. So you guys have a chance of beating me if you make all your shots.
Wait. I need to get that training, but I haven't played in a while.
Maybe like 60%. It's not bad. I used to be a shooter for my team. Yeah, point guard shooter. Back in my days, like 5 years ago. I'm really rusty right now. Like I haven't played 2019. Yeah, so it's been 4 years.
You're like a college junior. Oh really?
I'm really rusty. Like our team. So we're in South Korea, but we used to play with other international schools. So we'd have an international school league. It's called kayak. And so we play against like other kids. We were pretty good. We were in the lowest division because we had a lot of we had very few kids, but we were always like runner up or number 1 in our division. It's pretty good.
See, it's the opposite story for our school. Like for some sports, like we're in the top division, but like we're the bottom of that division.
No, yeah.
Like,
No, yeah, that happens.
But like if we go down one more division, we destroy everybody.
Exactly. No, that happens. We had a weight bully school that was supposed to go up a division, but they stayed in our division to be number 1 every year. We hated them. Yeah. Gotta go up, man.
Yeah, Max, you send them up.
Yeah, gotta go up. All right, guys, let's start. Let's start.
I got like so bad. I got like 9 minutes.
Okay, guys. So, we have a lot of written assignments for you to do. These written assignments aren't going to be things that we just, give you guys to do reflections or like assignments at school. We want you guys to express yourselves. Okay, tell us about who you are. Tell us about what you're going through. Tell us about what you think about certain issues in America today. All right? The first thing that we're going to do is called My Korean Experience. All right? And to start things off, we'll always have a small group discussion, right? To sort of get our brains warmed up and kicked into gear. All right? Now, these are the questions you see here. What is one thing growing up that you always did in your family or by yourselves that reminded you of your Korean heritage? Right? How do you see it being practiced by others in your community? And how can these Korean traditions empower our community? I want you guys to think about these things, right? Now, I'm going to do a little bit of sharing, right? Because you guys, it's your second week of getting to know me, right? And we're going to spend the next 2 months together. So I want you guys to get to know me, and I want you guys to be comfortable with, sharing around me too. So my Korean experience is kind of unique. I was born here in Florida. My dad was a master's student in the University of Florida. He stayed here for about 4 years with me and my mom, and then he went back to Korea because of his job. When I went back to Korea, my mom wanted me to pursue an English education, so I went to a British kindergarten. Then after that, I went to an American international school. It's a really small school, middle of the rice paddies, 120 kids max. But it's an international Christian school in a place called Pyeongtaek, right next to an American military base. I went there for about 10 years. Grew up there all my life, from elementary until high school. My best friend there, he's been with me for the last 15 years. We grew up together. He's a Korean-Japanese kid. So growing up, I was exposed to a lot of different nationalities, right? My second grade teacher was a black person. You really don't see that a lot in Korea. My classmates were Hispanics, blacks, whites, other Asians. It was cool growing up around that environment. But I don't know about you guys, but growing up as a Korean American in Korea is also a different experience, right? I was often not only feeling left alone by my family because I couldn't really speak Korean that well at that time, but also by my Korean friends in my neighborhood, right? In my hagwons that I used to go to. I used to go to hagwons the same way that you guys do. And they would talk about things, use Korean slang and use Korean words and say like, let's go to this place, that place. And I wouldn't know where that was, right? I wouldn't know what they were talking about. In fact, my first experience learning how to type in Korean was when I liked this girl in ninth grade, and she was a Korean girl. And she was chatting in Katalk. I had no idea what Katalk was before then. And then I had to learn how to do Katalk in like a single day just to chat with this girl that I liked. My grandparents, couldn't communicate with me for the longest time because I, didn't know how to do Korean customs. I didn't know how to speak to them politely. I learned a lot. So now I'm fluent in Korean. But it took a lot of time. It took a lot of time, and it took a lot of stigmatization. It's kind of subtle. It's not there, like overtly, but it's what I call a form of like cultural microaggressions, and you feel that. Like, hey, why is this kid like not like us? Why is this kid speaking in English, not in Korean? This is Korea, right? You got to speak Korean. You got to be Korean. So that's one thing I kind of always dealt with. And, coming here, it's also a new experience because I'm surrounded by Korean Americans like you guys. Koreans who were born here, grew up here all your lives, right? It's very different from the Korean American that I was. So at NYU, I talked to a lot of Korean Americans, and we kind of wouldn't mesh at times, right? Like they grew up here, they're in this life. I'm from South Korea, I'm from that kind of life. So it's like there's a cultural disconnect for me. But one thing growing up that I always did that reminded me of my Korean heritage was honestly not wearing shoes inside my house. Yeah, it's pretty simple, but that's one thing that I feel like I still do, and I never knew why. Like when I went to my friends' houses and when I was in elementary, they would all have their shoes on. They would have their shoes on in bed, and it's just normal for them. But my mom had always told me to take my shoes off before I step inside, and it's weird that it's the small things like that that still stick with me today. Like when I go home to myself, I live in an apartment in Manhattan right now. I take my shoes off, and I'm like, why did I just do that? But maybe it's the way I was brought up. It's also the way that my mom taught me. My family also went to watch movies every weekend. It's a family thing. So I used to go watch movies with them every Friday or every Saturday when my dad had time. He was off of work, and I still do. I still watch movies, and I still think, when I leave the theaters and I'm not with my parents, it's kind of like weird because I used to do that with my parents all the time. I don't think that's a Korean thing necessarily, but you guys know like Marvel is really popular in Korea. There's a lot of Korean cinema culture there, and I grew up with that. So that's that. One thing I kind of realized when I was growing up in Korea is that there's a lot of bias in Korea. There's a lot of prejudice. It might be towards Japan, it might be towards China, it might be towards other countries. There's a lot of prejudice there. And I think growing up as a Korean American, I could see that from an outsider perspective. My best friend was Korean Japanese, right? I grew up in the time from 2011 to 2019, there was a trade war and a lot of other things that were going on back and forth between Korea and Japan. I saw firsthand the effects that had not only on my friendship with that guy, but also on him, right? And there's a lot that's going on in Korea that I think, from my unique perspective as a Korean American, I was able to see, critique, and point out. So that's kind of my story. I'm still going on. I'm only 21, turning 22 soon. It's not too far of an age gap from you guys, right? And you guys are going to be where I'm at soon. So that's my experience. If you guys have any questions about that, just ask me, yeah? I've been there. Going to college as a Korean American, it's going to be quite an experience. It's going to be a little different for you guys than it was for me, but we're also going to share a lot more similarities than you would with other people. There's that. So I want you guys to go round robin now and talk to us about what is one thing growing up that you always did that reminded you of your Korean heritage. Okay? Do you guys know what round robin means?
Yeah.
You go around in a circle. Everyone talks. Yeah. but with a little bit of a twist. We're going to do what's called popcorn speaking. So one of you guys is going to talk, and then you're going to choose another person to talk after you, okay? All right, are there any volunteers who would like to go first? Joachim?
So I lived in this area, and when I was younger, so and I moved to Long Island, mainly like where I live is mainly white people. So I almost felt like there isn't a lot of Asian presence where I live. So one thing that really helped me was a Korean sport, table tennis. My mom was a good at for Korea, so
No way.
yeah, so she kind of like it was kind of forced on me when I was younger.
Yeah.
When I quit, but like it's something that like even though I don't want to do it anymore, but I always go to the tournaments and I always go to see the different people from all over like the
Right.
country play from like.
It's a part
always,
of you now.
Yeah, it's part of me now. So I always tell myself every year like I'm gonna quit. I'm not doing this anymore. It's my last year, but I always go back, and I think that really reminds me of my Korean heritage.
Yeah. That's sick. Do you know what year your mom played for Korea?
I
What
don't
years?
know. I don't know. She
Must be way back though.
yeah, it was way back. The way she explained, she was like, it was really old style to the point where like she didn't have an education. She only played table tennis. That was her life. Like living that at that time and age, she was like on one of the top of her class. But in order to have like an opportunity, like she didn't like it either, to be honest. She
Yeah.
wanted to quit for a while when she was younger. So she married my dad, got a green card, and was able to come to America and like have a comfortable life for like me.
That's the story of most people who are like pro athletes. They got to give one up. You can't have both education and professional sports.
Right.
Nice. Awesome.
Do I say the whole thing, or do I just talk like each question?
No, you're good. That's good enough. You guys don't have to answer the all of it. It's just whichever one that you want to answer. You guys can just share about your background too, like Joe Kim did. Nice. Thanks for sharing, Joe. Right, you want to pick the next person to go?
Get the other goes. We don't really do this much anymore, and it's not like just in our family, but sometimes like the first few days. I still like go to a lot when I was younger, because there was like a lot of younger kids, and we would always like wear the humble,
Yeah.
and it was a lot of fun.
Yeah.
We ate like a lot of food and stuff.
Food's good there.
Yeah.
For sure. Do you guys do cheza? Do your families do cheza? You know what cheza is? It's like the Confucian like ritual of preparing food for a dead ancestor.
Oh, really?
Like you prepare a table full of food and you bow down to honor your ancestors. You also leave the door open so that they come in and eat, apparently. And then after that finishes, you guys all eat food. It's something my grandparents did. It's something a lot of old people do. That reminds me of cheza, because in cheza you also have really good food. Yeah, Claire?
I didn't do that for like ancestors, but every time I went to Korea, like my grandparents and stuff were all Buddhist and stuff. So when we went to like their temple, like that's like
No.
for Buddha.
Oh. With food?
Yeah, it was like rice.
Oh, I did not know that.
And, like, incense.
Yeah, with incense. Maybe it is a Buddhist thing. That's cool. All right, thanks for sharing, Joseph. Would you like to pick the next speaker, please?
I'm pretty sure there's an assignment for that. Accept this. Like,
Yeah.
about the training thing. And I also wrote something similar to you about how like as I was growing up, my parents would always tell me to like, take off my shoes going inside the house. But like my school was mostly like Hispanic and like white kids. So like whenever I would go to my friend's house, like I noticed like they all don't take off their shoes.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, I don't know. It's like, I guess it's okay if like your entire family does it. I don't know. It's a cultural disconnect for me. Thanks for sharing, Ian. Next person. Jonathan?
Thing I did growing up, probably like everyone does, it's like bowing to your elders. It's like,
Oh yeah.
I used to get in so much trouble when I didn't do it. It's just like a habit.
Yeah. Do you think it's a good habit or?
Good habit.
Yeah.
Showing respect.
Right. Yeah, a lot of older folks will look at you weird if you don't bow to them. Right. All right. Thank you, Joe. Thank you, Jonathan. Next person.
I don't want to go.
Anyone?
Yeah, Myoku.
Oh yeah,
And
I love Miyoko.
birthdays. And yeah, so like basically we did like majority of the traditional customs besides maybe the Buddhist stuff, because we're Christians. So we did celebrate like birthdays not on the New Year, but on like the actual birthday, the written down birthdays. And so we would just like have myeokguk and on this extravagant feast, and we would always go to Maryland, where the rest of my family is residing. So that's just one thing, I guess.
Nice. I love Miyoko. Do you guys know what Miyoko is?
Of course.
Right? Yeah, my Koreans. There we go. Miyoko is, you gotta wash the miyok, man. Like some places, they don't wash the miyok. It tastes really bad. I make a killer miyoko, by the way. Killer. Really good.
You do with sogogi or like?
Sogogi.
I can't with
With
seafood.
like-
I hate when people do with seafood.
Seafood? There's seafood miyoko?
Yes, there is, right? Do you guys do it with seafood?
No, you do it.
Bro,
Yeah.
that's just,
No, I swear they do it.
I just
it's literally just the ocean at that
Yeah.
point.
I do it with like the clam thing.
Yeah, the clams. Like,
Yeah, I hate the clam.
Oh,
I hate it.
pajirak, clams.
The
Yeah.
clam thing is. I just give it to my brother.
chicken.
Some people do chicken. My family does beef and seafood.
Yeah, seafood. See, like,
Yeah, no, I know exactly what you're talking
We can also do tuna.
but I don't like seafood, so
Tuna?
I don't like it.
Tuna sometimes.
I don't like seafood. You
No,
said you like
man.
Tuna?
Once.
Tuna is just,
It's like
They be putting
it's
anything
kind
in
of
it now.
you know it's kind of like kimchi. There's like over 50 different variations.
all right.
That is true.
We are not shaming anyone for their different variations of miyokok, but I'm kind of skeptical about tuna miyokok.
I know.
It's like,
Maybe it was
Let
not.
me try it.
it's like it's just the ocean at that point. It's just tuna floating around with seaweed.
Oh, I used to joke with my family. It's like, oh, how do you make miyoko? Take a bucket and just go to the ocean.
That's literally what tuna miyokok is.
That is true. Yes.
Okay, but
Sogogi's the only
yes,
one.
Claire?
But have you had the knuckles with like the whole garlic?
Whole garlics
What?
in miyokok?
Yeah.
You usually put minced garlic.
I know.
No,
Like,
don't try it.
there's
Don't
one
try
rice
it.
with, like,
Wait, don't you put like garlic in the rice then?
Whole garlic.
Good.
That's so good.
It's like
It's like the whole garlics with kalbi.
Oh yeah,
I mean, kaibitang is alright.
It's like if you're using
right.
a beef.
No, with garlic, I mean.
Oh.
Yeah, it's alright to have garlic with
So if you have like the
kaibitang.
beef stock with the miyoko, the garlic is really hot.
But you have the whole garlic with curry barbecue.
Yeah.
Oh yeah,
It's like sliced
Raw garlic, man.
Raw garlic. Yeah,
Yeah.
raw. I cook it.
I mean, I like both, but raw garlic inside the sun, that's chef's kiss.
Oh yeah, and then
Really?
I don't
Like-
like garlic.
You have to brush your teeth twice, though.
when we're sick, just like noodle.
All right, let's move on. Bigman, who's the next person? Get in?
Maybe hagwon culture, because I know that like, a lot of American kids didn't used to do that, and I remember like crying because I didn't want to go to hagwon.
Oh, yeah.
It was really bad because like why was I going to like after school that made you do more schoolwork after school? when
That's
I was in
really well
third
put.
grade? Like, what is there to learn in third grade? I remember I used to cry and I was like, Mom, why do I have to go to hagwon? And I remember I skipped around hagwons because it was like horrible. Like, oh
I used to go to this one called Sigma.
my god.
Sigma?
Let me tell you. Let me tell you. It wasn't run by Koreans. I can tell you that much.
What?
Yeah.
It was run by
Is it chain?
Chinese people. And they sold dope.
What do they sell? I mean, what do they teach you?
So you take a test for the first hour, and then they rank you based on the test. Like at the end, they'll call you out, and the last person just like walking up with shit. Everybody's just looking at him like this guy ranked last.
I'm always last, bro. I'm
Well, that doesn't sound good.
It was-
Dang. Have any of you guys lived in Korea before?
Oh,
Study?
For summer vacation.
I don't know. So, do you feel like Korean hagwons are different from American hagwons? Did you go to hagwon in Korea?
Yeah, I did actually. And actually, everyone there is like so smart. Like, I was in kindergarten, they were doing like freaking like exponents and fractions and stuff.
Oh yeah, yeah.
Oh, yeah.
You know, our first graders do internships at NASA. That's It's Korean kids for you, math. Hagwons, I feel like in Korea are more systematic. It's like everyone's just like processed into the same like person, the same student. Just like a, what do you call it? Conveyor belt. Yeah, like a factory line. Just going through becoming the same student over and over again.
I don't understand how Korea is so famous for like their SAT Hagwon. Like they don't even take it. Like how you famous for it?
Look, I went to an SAT Hagwon for about a year, like 4 months and 4 months. And let me tell you this, you don't need to go to SAT Hagwon. You don't need to. I took the SAT on my first try, passed it, 1530. Never again.
That's more than passing. That's
Yeah.
more than passing.
Never again.
I feel like we're different, like.
And the way
Yeah.
when I went to Hagwon, the most I could get was like 1400. I spent the last like 3 months just studying on my own, practicing like thousands of problems. That's all you need to do.
Thousands?
Yeah, thousands. You do thousands until you read the first 2 letters of a question. You're like, I know what this question is going to ask me.
Wait, what? Yeah, how do you get the motivation to do that?
Well, you have a mom like mine, and you don't need motivation. My mom is just, yeah, you know. One other Hagwon I used to go to when I was a kid was Taekwondo. Yeah, Taekwondo. Like every single Korean kid goes to Taekwondo.
Oh, you used to be good, right?
Almost every single kid. Yeah. And
Now
like,
you said one million.
and like you go to school and you're in an argument with other girls, and the girls like in elementary, the girls like, I'm a black belt in Hapkido, don't mess with me. And you're like, oh my goodness, I can't. I'm just a red belt. Don't touch me, man. Yeah, I'm just a red belt.
They are scary though.
But nowadays, it's not even like
I mean, little kids are like cruel by nature. You teach them martial arts,
it's over.
yeah, they'll like roundhouse kick you in the head. Bam.
Roundhouse kick, they can't reach. They're doing an X kick instead.
You won't believe how flexible these kids are, man. All right.
You're the more flexible.
Yedin, choose the next person to go, please.
Ain't that hard.
Meeny, meeny, miny, mo. Judy.
Well, I'm used to, but I don't really like music, so we stopped doing this. But when I was younger, we used to have music on like in like birthdays.
Tteokguk. Never was really a fan of tteokguk that much.
What?
I like miyeokguk a lot better.
No, I like Doku. I like Doku Namyoku.
Yeah.
Mandukguk is pretty good.
Kimchi tteokbokki.
Miyeokguk is
You
gold.
would have to mix in the kimchi at the end.
Yeah,
but
yeah,
at the
yeah.
beginning.
Eat like the.
You don't eat the miyok, do you?
No, I feel
I
so
don't eat
like.
the meal,
You don't eat the meal?
But my mom makes me because it's healthy. Like I don't like it.
You know what I realized? You can't trust anything your Asian parents say. That's all I gotta say.
They say everything's healthy when you don't like it.
Like, I literally told my friends something, like a fact that my parents told me, and it ended up being false, and I was literally saying for like the last 3 years. I got flamed by my friends.
It's usually even ajashis, they'll tell you stuff like right off the top of their head. They're just made up. Yeah, just to look cool. All right, Judy, thank you for that. I like miyeokguk better than tteokguk though. I'm that camp.
I don't know.
Oh, speaking of food, Korean jjajangmyeon. You guys like it? No.
Like the new places, they put like so much MSG. Like the old
Really?
places taste better.
You guys can tell that that's MSG?
No, I
It
can't.
tastes like
So
it tastes like ramen. It tastes like ramyeon. If you eat it tastes like it.
Ooh.
So I went to Korea. I go to Korea a lot. I've been there like over 10 times.
Yeah.
And the one thing that I hated when I went to Korea was eating kalbi and naengmyeon the whole entire time. So I asked
Eating what in naengmyeon?
kalbi and naengmyeon.
갈비 and naengmyeon?
So I used to ask my mom's friend. I was like, "이번에 짜장면 먹을 수 있어요?" They're like, "Okay, we'll go to 짜장면." The thing is, I hated the jjajangmyeon there because it's so different from the one that we eat here.
Really?
Yeah, it's so different. So like at one point, I was looking at I ate one bite. I looked at my mom like, "It's not the same. It's not the same." So I was like telling her, I was like, "죄송한데요, 짜장면 맛이 없어요." Like I had to tell her straight up, like it's so different.
You told the lady that her jjajangmyeon didn't taste good?
Oh no.
No, I told her it was like my mom's friend. And she was like, "Why weren't you eating it?" And I told her like, "Oh, it's like different. It doesn't taste good."
Next time, if you want to be polite,
Wow.
it's like, oh, it doesn't taste like what I thought it would.
Oh, that's
Or
actually.
it tastes different.
I was like 11 at that time.
No.
I was like
No.
10, 11 at that
But
time.
you might have provided her a shock that she needed to improve a restaurant. So you never know. Honesty helps.
We're just a lifelong hatred.
This tastes horrible, man. Like,
I didn't say horrible. I said
I'm not eating this. I want a refund. Yeah. I see. Okay. Judy, who's next?
Lindsay, you wanna go? Okay.
Lindsay.
I used to go to before COVID. So, also it was like at a temple. It was like at a Buddhist temple. So, there were like 14 students of like 4 to like 14 probably. I never really learned that much Korean there though, but that's where I learned a lot about Korean culture. I would go there and like meditate in the morning. I think that was like a Buddhist thing, and then I'd study, learn about Korean history, and then at the end we'd always do samurai, which is like changul.
Yeah, yeah. Like instruments, Korean instruments.
Yeah.
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 One thing that's interesting to me about Korean American culture here is Korean schools. I see a lot of them actually. Yeah. Well, that's super interesting. It's a way for you guys to like be educated about Korean history from a young age, right? Huh.
Church did like we don't have anything about history.
Huh.
We do not have a right.
So it's different for each school, like what they teach. I see. Yeah, Claire?
My Korean school was like kind of like really like interactive. Like they had a lot of activities. So we did like teaching like traditional, and then they also had like did musicals, but you have to do it in Korean. So you have to like memorize Korean lines and stuff.
Huh. All right, speaking of Korean school, who here, except for Joseph, knows about Lee Sun-shin? Anyone? Ian? Claire? Chloe, no? Yeah, I asked you like twice. I was secretly hoping that you would do the research by now.
Yeah,
Oh no,
actually, okay.
I don't raise my hand because like you're the one who told me.
Ah.
Like she knows from me. Yeah.
Right, so before I told you guys. All right. Moving on?
Actually, I learned about Yi Sun-shin outside. Oh, Ian raised his hand. Anyway,
No, nice, Ian.
Anyway, I learned about Yi Sun-shin outside of Korean school, and I got a little bit obsessed.
Yeah? All right.
Just a little bit.
I mean, I'll teach you guys about Lee Sun-shin later on.
Yeah.
He's one of my role models.
Yes.
Solid guy. The turtle ships. Yeah. Look, you'll find a lot of like Korean news outlets saying like Korea is the first one to do this, do that. You can take all of those with a grain of salt, except for armor-clad ships. That was actually a Korean invention. The turtle ship is the first recorded armor-clad ship in history.
I learned
That much is true.
printing was first created. My AP World class, like, I learned that printing was like.
Yeah.
No, I swear, like they said.
No,
they
it,
said-
yeah.
No, I swear.
No, Joe-Kim, it's true. I've seen the same thing that you're talking about. They say the Gutenberg press, its variation was first invented in Korea,
And then
not China.
China stole it from
Yeah.
Korea and then made it their own variation. Man, we the first man. Stop it.
All right, I don't know enough about that to verify that, but I've seen what you're talking about. Yeah. I'm sure the Chinese have their own version of this story too.
They're
Yeah.
like, man, we just found it on our own.
Yeah.
Korea copied us.
All right, Lindsay, choose the next person. Is that it?
I don't know if this is like a Korean thing or just like an Asian thing in general, but like not using the dishwasher.
Oh, I'm guilty of that actually. I just did my dishes yesterday.
And you put your dishes in there after you wash dishes. You put it
Oh
in
my
the
goodness.
dishwasher to dry. I just don't understand that because it's a dishwasher. You can wash dishes with the dishwasher.
Oh man.
It's the fail.
I also have a dishwasher and just washed my dishes yesterday. I'm guilty of that.
So you don't use the dishwasher?
No.
Yeah.
I just forget about it. Just
It just holds.
yeah, like I have to wash it with the susemi and my gloves. Just what my mom did. Yeah. Pink ones.
The pink ones.
I only buy the pink ones. There's yellow ones too. I buy the pink ones.
Why?
Because my mom did it.
My
The
mom
pink
was
ones
the
are
purple
better.
ones.
Yeah.
Yeah, same.
Yeah, mine was the purple.
Purple ones.
Yeah,
There's purple ones?
Yeah, I thought purple ones.
Bro, that's revolutionary. Purple. There's only one color when I was young. It was pink.
No, it was my whole life I've seen purple.
Must have come out when you were born, man.
No, it
No,
was,
I
it's-
always see that.
It's like pink with the lines here and then
no.
Yeah, we know we used some pink,
It's like-
but like
it was
we
like
got new
pink
ones
with
and they're
like-
purple.
Yeah,
No pattern on it. It was just all the way up here.
Yeah. That's my brother. I don't know where y'all coming from.
All right, Serin. Next person.
know that other Koreans don't do this. Like, we never sat at the dining table. We always sat like on the floor, on like on like a small table. Like we never sat at the dining table.
Oh, really?
Even though we had one.
Huh.
In like the living room, we always sit on the floor. That's why we never had our shoes in the house. And like we would like the Koreans like spend time on the ground.
Yeah.
So
Yeah, we used to have dining table as like laundry. We put all the laundry on the dining table.
What? Wait, what?
I see.
No, you just don't use your dining table.
Don't question it. It's just.
No, but I know what.
Yeah.
Everybody knows what she's talking about. Like, well, you know what she's talking about, right?
what Sarah's talking about?
No, like sitting down on the floor.
Yeah.
Yeah, right.
My grandparents do that.
Yeah, no, exactly. It's like
They have the big black table. They fold out.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
Yeah.
It's just
The one with the flower pattern.
Yeah, the one with the flower patterns. They also have a brown version of that too.
brown version. I got the brown
Yeah.
version.
Yeah. I'm not familiar with that.
like the
You sit
cushion
on a
at
mat. You
restaurants,
sit
they
on
have
a
the
mat.
cushion.
Oh, the pangsok, the cushion. Yeah.
It didn't help at all.
Yeah, it doesn't
Just a
help.
piece of cloth.
Your back hurts. Huh.
I'm used to it now. I've done it my whole life.
Are you still doing it?
Yeah.
Whoa.
I actually,
Are you serious?
I'm gonna do it until I move out.
I actually sleep on a futon. So it's a Japanese mattress that you just lie on the floor, and there's a mat below it, so you're sleeping on the floor. It's really comfy. Yeah, no bed. Maybe that's a Korean thing, Japanese thing too. Judy,
I love my bed.
you love your bed?
Yeah.
Yeah.
But one thing my family won't associate themselves with is like Japanese products.
Yeah.
Oh my god.
Like
My
every-
mom won't let me eat anything made back like from Japan.
Yeah.
My mom won't let me buy. Like she's like, we always looking at cars. I'm like, what about this one? It's like Japanese brand. We can't. I'm like, what?
Look, my dad, he worked in Samsung for a lot of years. He's a tech guy, right? When the Nintendo DS first came out, I wanted it, but my dad wanted it more than I did. So my mom was kind of against it, but my dad was like, we gotta get a Nintendo DS. Like, you gotta get the black one, I'm gonna get the white one. So we got it together. My family's, you know, they participate in the news. They know everything about the Japanese boycotts. But nail clippers, like water bottles, the Japanese know what they're doing, man. It's a good product. Nail clippers. Japanese nail clippers are smooth. You know, like Korean ones, they're like creak, 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 creak. Japanese ones don't make a sound. It's like,
What do you mean they don't make that? They have
it's
to.
super
When you
smooth.
clip the nail, it makes
Yeah.
a sound.
You're supposed to.
Well,
make it,
yeah,
Otherwise, you don't know.
But you know, like if you press down, the Korean ones kind of feel like
It's like biting
you
your
feel
arm.
like resistance.
Yeah,
The
yeah,
Japanese
yeah,
ones,
The
it's
Korean
it's
one
like
is
butter.
77777.
Yeah. Those ones, the silver ones.
Wait, what about the water bottle? What about the water bottle?
Do you know Zojirushi, that brand?
Yeah.
Yeah, they have like heated water bottles, like cooling water bottles. They also have really good rice cookers. Korean ones, like I bought one, they break like in 3 months. Japanese, like Zojirushi ones, they go on for like 60 years. It's insane. My grandma's had the same one for like 30 years. Cuckoo? Yeah, my mom too. Yeah. And look, if you're anti-Japan, you can't see the new Spider-Man movie. That's by Sony. Yeah.
No, just like
I haven't watched it.
Yeah.
I was gonna watch it. Nah, I was gonna say, man, my mom would. You know, you know, she's doing research.
All right, who hasn't gone yet? Odom, Hannah, Claire. All right, choose out of those three. And Ian.
Oh, yeah.
Yes, Ian, I haven't forgotten you. Odom? All right, Odom.
My family, they use like those traditional rock beds. I think they're called like torching bed, and then they have like the one that can
Dang.
like heat up and stuff. And I remember my friend came over, and she wanted to lie on the bed, so she kind of like hopped onto it, but it was like rock solid.
Oh my goodness.
And I was really embarrassed. And yeah, I felt embarrassed, and then like she was like, "Why are your beds so hard?" And I was like, I don't know. And then she's like, "My beds are soft." And I was like, "Oh, okay."
Should have told her like you'll ruin your back in 20 years, right?
Yeah.
This one's good for you. I don't know. Yeah, I mean I sleep on the floor, so I don't know.
But you have like a mattress.
Futons are really comfortable.
They're
Yeah.
soft.
They're super soft. It's like you're sleeping on a mattress without the bed frame, anything. That's cool. My grandparents, they have a torchinde, and they also have like those like sand pillows. You know what I'm talking about?
Yeah.
Like their pillows are filled with something. Like you can use them as a heavy bag or something. It's insane. And you're like sleeping around, and you just like feel like rocks in your like on your head. They have those ones. Yeah.
Well, now it's bulletproof.
Are they? I don't know. I think you can.
A bag of sand can probably stop a bullet.
Me and my
Like a
cousin,
small bullet, at least.
me and my cousin, when we were young, we used to play with those like rock pillows, and we couldn't throw them. It was like heavy. We were like, oh, I can't throw these.
I thought it was wood pillow.
Nah, like pillows with like stuffing inside.
Bomb?
Yeah.
Yeah.
It was like slabs, right?
Yeah. That's what I always thought. I was like, back then, this is what they used to do. I'm like, I always thought.
Back then.
I was like, back then.
You're talking about like the Korean War or something, dude. Way back then. All right, Podem. Thank you for that. Ian, Hannah, Claire.
Okay, I'll go with Ian.
Hey, Ian.
Me?
Hello? Yeah, Ian.
Oh, all right. I don't know if anyone else does this, but whenever we're eating, I'd always put like one of my legs on the chair because my mom would also do that because she used to like eat on the floor.
Oh, okay.
Like this.
Oh, that's just wait. What? On the chair? What do you mean on the chair? What?
Like, yo, how you fit your legs on the Yo.
It's because like Koreans like sat on the floor.
Yeah. I think so. Joe Kim, it's impossible for you, man.
Yeah.
Just give it up.
I've been working out legs, man.
100 stuff per hour.
Right, Ian. Yeah. So sitting with one leg on your chair.
Yeah. I don't know why, but it's like kind of natural now.
Is it comfortable for you?
It just feels right for some reason. I don't know.
Feels right.
Yeah, this is just like your whole body is like stretching.
I do
It's
this.
like the natural state.
This.
Yeah. I gotta have like 1 foot here.
And I'm just doing this. What is
That's good too.
I just have 2 feet down like a normal person. I don't know.
All right. Ian, choose. There's Hannah and Claire left. Just choose the next person to speak.
Anna, I guess.
Right, Hannah.
I feel like when we're eating dinner, we would watch only Korean like news. So like, and sometimes like, we would watch like Korean news, like playing. I don't think I ever watched American news. Korean news.
Like JTBC, YTN. Yeah. A big part of my childhood used to be watching TV shows like Running Man or 1박 2일 with my family. Yeah, or 개그 콘서트.
I only watch this like Trust.
You do?
My family didn't watch big concert
Oh. It also ends late, so if you had to go to school the next day, you couldn't watch it. Anyways, Claire?
One thing that like, I don't know if anyone else does this, but like there was a trend a couple years back about like these like Korean people and like how they want to be like healthier. So, like they made this thing called like healthier, where like they literally like just blend like throw like 15 different vegetables.
Yeah.
Make like a vegetable soup. And like my mom would make it every morning, and she would like make me drink it every morning. It was so bad. And like when my grandparents were over, literally that's all they would eat. Like I got so sick of it.
Like a detox juice, right?
Yeah, I hated it so much.
My mom used to be in that too for a while. Like lettuce, kale, I don't know, yeah, carrots, tomatoes. Yeah.
Tomatoes. Like they had to boil it first, like broccoli, like everything. Like they boil it first and then they blend it all together.
Hobak fruit is the best, man.
All right, guys. So, looks like we all have our own like fair bits of Korean heritage moments, right? It's kind of interesting for us because we're a minority group among minority groups. We're small even within the Asian American group, right? There's not a lot of Korean Americans in America. So these experiences that you guys have, these heritage moments, are kind of exclusive to us. I mean, you know, sleeping on the floor, eating on the floor, taking your shoes off might be shared by Chinese and Japanese Americans too, but a lot of what we said about 떡만둣국, 미역국, well, 이순신, they're exclusive to Korean Americans. And it's something that our community knows about. So I want to give you guys the first journal assignment for this internship. Okay, it's called Our Stories, and you guys are literally going to write about yourselves as your story. So I've already given you guys some assignments about, you know, thinking about this kind of stuff, right? Living as a Korean American. I want you guys to use what you wrote as a template, a draft for this assignment. It's going to be about 250 to 500 words. All right, so it's not too much. However, I do want to let you guys know that this is a great opportunity for you guys to write something that's going to be published in our journal. So we're choosing like 2 or 3 submissions by all of you guys to be highlighted on our journal, issue number 2. It's called Grassroots. And it's a great chance for you guys to be highlighted there. It's also a great chance for you guys to get started on your college application essay, which is going to ask you about these questions. I know it's going to be like a year or 2 later for most of you guys, but it's also a great chance for you guys to be introspective and get started on this earlier, right? So the prompt is basically going to be, what does it mean for you to live as a Korean American today, right? And you can talk about the heritage moments that you've talked about with me right now in that question. Also, what are some of the challenges you face as a Korean American, whether that be from other ethnic groups or from your own family, right? So there's a lot of, you know, it's kind of going down, I guess, in the mainstream. There's a lot of Asian hate going on, right, ever since COVID happened. And, you know, they don't discriminate. It's not like you're Korean American, so you don't get hated on by other groups, right? Some of us have grown up with our fair share of moments of experiencing racism and discrimination, right? So what are some of the challenges that you faced yourself as a Korean American? And how do you think all of that, right, the good and the bad, the ugly and the beautiful moments of your life, have shaped you as a person today, right? I want you guys to tap in, right? Be expressive about yourselves. Whatever you write is only for your eyes and my eyes only, and maybe Austin's if he grades your papers. This is going to be the template for what you guys are going to write about yourselves and how you guys are going to think about yourselves later on in life. And a lot of us just live on through our daily lives without really thinking about what our Korean American identity means. But in America, it's crucial to think about what that means for us individually. You can't just live in America as a person who doesn't really care about what your Korean Americanness means and just expect to get along with everybody and you know, and be yourself. You gotta be proud and firm of your own identity, right? Maybe not as, you know, a Korean American, but what that means for you personally. You gotta have a firm grasp of that. And you gotta know what that means for you individually. Okay? This is something that your school probably won't ask you to do. It's something that, you know, colleges don't ask you to do. It's only something that, you know, other Korean Americans will ask you about. People like me will give you assignments about. So it's a real chance for you guys to do something that you won't get a chance to do pretty much anywhere else. Okay? So that's going to be due on Sunday, 11:59 p.m. Right? You guys have the whole week to work on this. It's not going to take that long. I think that's a reasonable deadline. Again, if you guys need extensions because of any reason, let me know. But it's pretty much going to be a firm deadline because we have other assignments due too. All right? Not assignments, projects. You guys aren't just here as interns. I mean, as students, you're also here as interns, right? Part of your job is to help us at KACE produce things that we can give back to the Korean American community. And so you guys are going to have to work on these other things too, right? Which is why there's a hard deadline for Sunday with very few exceptions allowed under certain circumstances. And each of these assignments is going to be an hour, or if you go above the time limit, if you go above the word limit and you do your best, maybe an hour and a half or 2 hours of service hours. Okay? All right. Now, before we head on to lunch, it's 12:45. We have about 35, 45 minutes left. I kind of want to end a little bit early today because we might have a little bit of announcements. I'm going to go on to the next activity. Actually, do you guys want a break? You tell me.
I'll take one.
Take one? All right, 5-minute break. 12:50, okay? Sure. Just be safe, okay?
As like a set of school plus specializers. It's like but I would say like those high schools actually have it's like a better like opportunity or like education stuff like specialized like there's only I'd say like there was really much there was like
So Manhattan. Prejudice, Asian hate. That's it for today. Your fashion's trippy, but you gotta have business casual clothes.
Okay.
No shorts. You can have
This is the like the dress shorts. Okay.
your
Like,
shirt.
it's got like the button. It's got the button.
Ideally, you want slacks, right? I'm okay with a shirt, slacks, right? I'm not trying to be too hard on you, but it's a rule that everyone else has to follow too. Okay, I can't jump over you guys. Hold on. All right, guys. So we'll do this, and then we'll give you guys a lunch break, so we can all have lunch. I'm hungry. Who else is hungry? I'm hungry.
You're always hungry.
Yes, that is true. Right, so this is a new thing that we're doing. It's called Trailblazers, Korean Americans Who Paved the Way. I noticed that some of you guys on assignment 3 said that you guys want to learn about, actually a lot of you guys, want to learn about Korean Americans who, were influential activists, people who are famous, right? So we're gonna make this a multi-part series. Part 1 is gonna be about Susan Ahn Cuddy today. Next week, it's gonna be a different person. How many of you guys know who Susan Ahn Cuddy is? Awesome. I get to teach you guys something entirely new. Her Korean name is An Susan. Okay? Before I start, how many of you guys know who An Chang-ho is? Have you guys heard that name? An Chang-ho? No. All right. Susan Ahn Cuddy. Have you guys seen Captain America? You guys know who Peggy Carter is, right?
Yeah.
She's the real-life version of Peggy Carter, essentially. All right? So Susan Ahn Cuddy was the first Asian American woman to serve in the US Navy and become an officer. But not only that, she was also a naval intelligence officer and a section chief in the National Security Agency when it was first founded, where she devoted the rest of her life to clandestine government projects and intelligence work. So basically, she's the person who did what Peggy Carter did in real life in World War II. And that's who we're going to talk about today. A little bit about her. An was born to an independence activist named An Chang-ho. Now, in Korea, he's really famous. He's called Dosan An Chang-ho. He's one of the premier independence activists and founders of modern-day South Korea, who came to the United States with his family in 1902. but then he moved back to Korea to campaign for independence and fight against Japan until he was captured, tortured, and killed in prison. Now, so her dad died at a very young age for her, but her parents would always speak about and fight tirelessly for Korean independence from Japan. So An naturally grew up with much of those same values instilled within her, right? And actually, An Chang-ho would later lay the foundation of the first Korean American community organization in California, which still stands today. His house still has a foundation there. So An grew up with much of the same values of fierce activism and patriotism from her parents, and she would carry them with her when she enlisted for the Navy. Now, An was, forgot to list her birth date actually, but she came of age during World War II, when Pearl Harbor happened. And so An enlisted into the U.S. Women's Naval Reserve. It's called Waves in the wake of Pearl Harbor. Like many other Americans, she also felt a fierce sense of patriotism, and because her parents fought against Japan's imperialism, she also thought that it was necessary for her to fight against Imperial Japan as well. She took 2 tries to get in. The first try, she failed, probably because of her race and sex, right? And encountered various forms of sexism by many other male soldiers and officers in different branches of the Navy, right? So it's a woman's reserve, but male officers get to choose if you get in or not. So she took 2 tries to get in, right? And all throughout her career in the Navy, she would suffer various forms of sexism. There's a story about how she was denied access to several top secret documents by a superior officer because he thought that she was dangerous because she was Korean. But despite that, An later rose to the rank of lieutenant, becoming an aerial gunnery officer. So this is the same officer who teaches how to shoot 50 caliber machine guns against aircraft, anti-aircraft guns. So as an officer, she trained male soldiers on how to operate this machine gun. She's one of the first ones to do this. And soon afterwards, An joined naval intelligence and their code breakers, becoming of great use due to her fluency in Korean. So after World War II, in 1950, what happens in Korea? The Korean War happens, right? And so she becomes exponentially valuable because she's very fluent in Korean. Mind you, before her, there was no Asian American woman who was a naval officer, much less an intelligence officer. So she's the first one to do this, ever, and she's a Korean American. In naval intelligence, An will later marry Chief Petty Officer Francis Cuddy, despite the stringent anti-interracial marriage laws in place across the nation. And so during this time, there's a very technical word for this, but it's also the time of segregation. So a lot of marriage laws prevented Asians from marrying white people. But she got married, I believe, in Maryland, where it was the only state that would allow her to marry a white person. So she's also a trailblazer in terms of interracial marriage laws. Now her name was Susan An Cuddy, and she would go on to become one of the first female intelligence analysts to work in the National Security Agency. You guys know what the National Security Agency is? No. The NSA, right? The NSA is one of the premier intelligence agencies in the United States federal government. They work with the CIA, right? If you guys have heard of Edward Snowden, have you guys heard of Edward Snowden? He was a really famous whistleblower who used to work in the NSA, and then he came out and leaked documents that allegedly said the United States was spying on its own citizens, which was true. So she worked here when it was first founded during the Cold War and became one of the first women ever to become a section chief and codebreaker for this legendary agency. After retirement, An Cuddy would work for Korean American Civic Engagement in California, not KACE, for civic engagement in Korean Americans in California, as well as helping to run her brother's restaurant. She would also give lectures and talks to various intelligence agencies and universities going around the nation. An Cuddy passed away at the age of 100 after a life of unbelievable charisma and in true girl boss fashion, a career of James Bond-esque espionage. So she, for lack of a better word, is a bad girl. Bad, bad woman. Complete boss. An's model will inspire generations of Asian Americans and Asian American women to join the U.S. Armed Forces and the intelligence community. She was honored several times with various community awards and Courage Awards by the state of California. Today, we remember An Cuddy as a trailblazer for all Asian American women aspiring to serve their country. Few have done better to lead such a life than Susan An Cuddy herself. Okay? I hope you guys have learned something new about this person. Seems like it's your first time learning about this person for all of you guys. Now, we talk a lot about, cool people who work for intelligence agencies and Peggy Carter. We don't talk about the actual person who did all that, right? So that's Susan An Cuddy. And she's still remembered by the NSA and by the CIA for her service to intelligence in general. All right, so that's my infographic for this week. Now it's your turn to come up with infographics in small groups on influential Korean Americans. We're going to have different ones each week. Okay? We're going to get started on this, but I'm going to give you guys a lunch break because it's coming up soon. And then we're going to continue this once we come back. All right? So, Ian Chung?
Yes?
Yeah. You are going to be in a group with Ian Lim and Joseph Park. Right? It's going to be a group of 3. Odin, Hannah, and Claire, you're going to be in a group of 3. Right? Jonathan, Joachim, and Eungman, you're going to be in a group of 3. Chloe, I almost forgot your name for some reason. Chloe, Serin, and Lindsay, you're going to be in a group of 3. Yerin and Judy, you're going to be in a group of 2. Right? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 groups. All right? I'm going to assign you guys different Korean Americans to research about. Actually, only might have prepared 3, so let me just pull up 2 more. So Chloe, Lindsay, and Serin, I want you guys to research about Congressman Andy Kim. Andy Kim. He's also pretty famous, and his career actually is kind of cool. Yerin, Judy, I want you guys to research about Dr. Philip Jason. It's kind of tricky. His last name is spelled Jaison. Okay? Eungman, Jo Kim, and Jonathan, I want you guys to search about Ri Seung-man. All right? He's the first president of South Korea. But he's also, it's R-H-E-E. Ri Seung-man. No, S-E, yeah, S-Y-N-G. That's how they used to write it back then. Good point.
S-Y-N-G?
Yeah. He's not a Korean American, but he's kind of a Korean American. He graduated from Princeton and Harvard. Very smart intellectual. He worked for independence here. He lobbied Woodrow Wilson for independence. Later became the first president. Has his controversies, but he's a very big part of who we are today. Okay. Claire, Hannah, and Podum, I want you guys to research about Dr. Johnny Kim. Have you guys heard about this man? Dr. Johnny Kim, Navy SEAL, Harvard Medical School graduate, astronaut. Does everything about him. Okay? And Joseph, Ian, and Ian, I want you guys to search about An Chang-ho. All right? He's the dad of the woman that we just did a presentation about, Dr. An Chang-ho. All right? The format of how I want you guys to do this. Yen and Judy, did I give you guys a person? Yeah. I did, right? Philip Jason. Good. The format of how I want you guys to do this is pretty much like the presentation I just did. All right? It's going to have to be a lot more detailed and a lot more pretty than the things that you just did with the elected officials. Okay? Take your time with this. I'm going to give you guys about an hour to do this in total with your group. All right? Make it pretty, because we're going to use it again for next year's internship. And if you guys are here, you guys can teach it. Yes, Claire.
Oh, sorry.
You're good.
Do you have any mandatory things we need to put in the slide?
So like name, right? How long they lived, their biography, which I'd say 2 or 3 of their greatest achievements. and what they're remembered for. Okay? And why it's important for us to know about this person, make that connection, right? Especially for guys like Philip Jason, Ri, or An Chang-ho. Might be kind of hard for you guys to make that connection. Why is this guy important for us to learn about, right? But make that connection and talk about it. If you guys want an inspiration for the template, it's all up here, right? Yes, Ian. Yeah, Ian Chung. Can you send your email in the chat so your group mates can see? By the way, you guys can use that space outside there too. Yeah, there's an open area there. You guys can use that there too.
Wait, are we doing this now or after?
You guys are going to do it now for about 20 minutes, and then we're going to have lunch, and come back and do it again. Right now, what we have to do is go over our field trip. That's happening in 3 days. 2 days. So, we're going to be meeting in Manhattan for our first outing. Okay? Manhattan. We're going to tour Lower Manhattan. It's actually my favorite part of town. City Hall in the financial district. It's really pretty. We're going to go there, and you guys are going to learn about some historical sites there and see what it's all about. Okay? The itinerary for the entire field trip is going to look like this. You guys are going to meet at 10:15 to 10:30 at Foley Square. We're going to go over where that is exactly. Okay? At 10:30 to 11:05, we're going to walk around the Civic Center. 11:05 to 11:40, we're going to walk around the financial district. It's considerable walking, so bring some shoes, tennis shoes that you're comfortable with walking, right? I don't recommend like heels or anything like that because it's going to be hard for you guys to keep walking with that. Guys too, I don't know, some guys might be into high heels. For 11:40, we have to ride the Staten Island ferry, right? We have to catch the 12 o'clock ferry. This ferry is going to go near Ellis Island, see the Statue of Liberty. It's also going to make a stop at Staten Island, where we're going to have lunch from 12:30 to 1:20. Right? It's at a place called Empire Outlets. It's my first time also going there, but I've taken a look at it with Richard. It looks fantastic. Also, it has a really nice view, so you guys can have like Shake Shack, or ice cream, or pretzels, or food there, and just have a nice view and get to chill out with each other. 1:20, we're going to come back with the Staten Island ferry. At 2, we're going to go to Battery Park. Right? Battery Park is like a 20-minute walk. It's not that big. It's not as big as Central Park, but it's still pretty. At 2:20 to 3 o'clock, we're going to make a stop at the Federal Hall National Museum, and that's going to be a wrap for the day. And you guys are going to have to find your own way back home. Right? And I'll just head back to my apartment in Manhattan. So it's going to be a 10:15 to 3 p.m. schedule. Right, guys? Are there any questions about this so far? I'm going to give you pictures and all that right now. EJ.
Who's paying for the ferry tickets?
It's covered. All right, Richard?
The ferry is free. That's why we're taking it.
It's covered by the people of New York.
Our taxes
and me,
pay for it.
because I pay taxes. It's covered by me, actually. EJ, you get that you. It's on me. Right? I pay taxes, it's on me. You're welcome. You don't need to thank me, actually. It's just
You're welcome. I pay a lot of taxes.
Yeah, technically Richard pays more than I do for this. All right, so some ground rules, right? You guys are high schoolers. You guys have to be responsible for not only yourselves, but also for each other. Okay? Am I asking a lot from you guys? I don't think so, right? So we're going to travel in 3 packs. I'm going to be leading the freshmen and sophomores. Austin's going to be leading the rising juniors. And G1's going to be leading our rising seniors. Before we go on, G1, do you want to give a short introduction to yourself, about yourself, please?
Yes, I'm sorry, my shirt.
There's some new people here today.
Oh, okay. Hi, so my name is Juan. I'm currently a rising senior at NYU, studying politics and business studies. I used to be a KACE intern back in 2020, and in 2021, I became coordinator for that period of grassroots, the internship program, and then after that, I've been like a staff member of KACE, so I come out to help out anytime Richard is.
Nice. So she's going to be accompanying us, and she's also going to be helping you guys, you know, not get hurt in the field trips. Please be mindful of your surroundings. All right. You guys have seen documentaries, right? Like how do the T-Rexes hunt? They hunt the guys who are, out of the pack, like strays. You don't want to be that stray. You want to make sure that everyone else is in the pack too. All right. Manhattan is not a playground, right? I travel there. I commute there every day. It's dangerous. There's people there that aren't quite all there, right? You don't want to be vulnerable or easy targets for them, right? And this goes without saying, but I want you guys to be on your best behavior too. Okay? You guys are not only representing yourselves and your families, but you're also representing KACE as interns. So I expect good behavior from you guys, and I expect you guys to work together, keep each other safe, right? Keep each other safe, strengthen numbers. Do not engage with strangers, all right? No matter how much you want to give a homeless man money, no matter how much you want to take a brochure from a church person and talk with them about their church, don't do it, right? Do not do it. Because if you do it, all of us have to stop. One of the people might be confused as to whether they're stopping or going. You might endanger someone else, right? So pick up after yourself and other people. Don't engage with strangers, right? Dress appropriately, use your common sense, right? You can research the locations and things along the path beforehand so you have a good idea of where you're going and how long you'll be walking, right? Bring water or some kind of drink with you too, okay? We're gonna have to be walking a lot. It's gonna be hot. I don't want you guys parched and dehydrated. Yeah, we also walk fast. I don't know if you guys are fast walkers, but in Manhattan, you gotta walk at like 5 miles per hour. It's just the way it is. If you stop in the middle of the street, you're getting run over. So you gotta walk fast. Especially for short people like me. Gotta walk twice as fast. Okay? And do not litter. Okay? Don't litter. There's already a lot of trash in New York as it is. You don't want to be contributing to that anymore. You know Manhattan's like sinking, right? Every year? It's sinking by like 2 millimeters every year, right? Each piece of litter you throw away contributes to that. So don't do that. Okay, so those are the ground rules. Any questions about this? No? Okay. If you guys get separated at a crosswalk, stay with the nearest coordinator. That's going to be me, Austin, or Jiwon, right? Do not jaywalk. I know I've jaywalked with you guys before, going through the church. Do not do that in Manhattan. There's delivery drivers going 20 miles an hour. They will hurt you. Okay? Do not do that. Yeah, someone's Uber Eats is going to come in the next 5 minutes. Okay? You don't want to stop that. So we're meeting up at Foley Square. Okay? It's there. Foley Square. If you guys have any questions about this, you don't know where it is, email me or ask me. I'll point it out on Apple Maps for you. I use Apple Maps. Foley Square. That's where we're going to meet up. We met up there last year. We're going to meet up this year. 10:15 to 10:30. You got to come here by the latest by 10:30. Okay? On the field trip itself, we're going to take care of you. Right? We're going to guide you guys. There's going to be a set path. However, the way to Foley Square is going to be up to you guys. Right? So make sure you have a safe route plan to Foley Square. Right? Whether that be your parents or commute. And make sure you get there on time by 10:30. Okay? We're going to walk through the Civic Center area. That's that red line right there. I'm going to go through this quickly. So that's the County Supreme Court. Really cool piece of building. We're also going to go next to the criminal courthouse. It's also called the, this is criminal courthouse. And then we're going to go through the civil court. This entire area is for courts, basically, right? Courts and government buildings. Then we're going to walk through the Collect Pond Park, the New York County Family Court. Fun fact, this here is an NYU dorm. It's right next to a family court. That's actually where I used to live in my senior year. Then we're going to go to the federal building here, make a stop there. We're also going to make a stop at the African Burial Ground Monument. After that, we're going to go to One Police Plaza, NYPD headquarters. Then we're going to walk in front of the municipal building. It's huge. Very pretty stuff. And Tweed Courthouse, the New York City Hall. Okay? We're not going to go inside, unfortunately. We can't. But we're just going to take a look around, have a tour, see where it is, so you guys can locate it once you're in Manhattan. After that, we're going to go to the financial district, right? FIDE is very, very pretty. It's also very, very busy, right? There's going to be people in suits and dresses and all kinds of business attire going to meetings and riding scooters on pedestrian sidewalks, which you're not supposed to do. Point is, we're going to be a group of 30 people. Right? That's a lot of people. That's one more set of you guys right here. Right? So make sure you're on pace, you don't lag behind, you keep an eye to the person next to you, right, on both sides. Make sure they don't lag behind. We're going to make a stop at the One World Trade Center. We can't go up there, unfortunately, but I do recommend going up there. There's a roof view, sky view. It's absolutely gorgeous if you guys haven't been there. After that, we're going to make a stop at the 9/11 memorials. Also one of my favorite places to be because it's so quiet. And then we're going to go next to this park, and then the Trinity Church, the Federal Hall. Do you guys know what this building is, by the way? Federal Hall. Thank you, Judy. Captain Obvious. This used to be basically the capital of America in 1783. New York City, New York itself used to be the capital of the United States until Alexander Hamilton sold it over, or DC, because he wanted to strike a bargain with James Madison. So that's the area of where old Capitol used to stand, right? We're going to pay homage there, right? R.I.P. New York. Used to be the capital there. There's a really cool George Washington statue there. Next, we're going to go to the stock exchange, right? Have any of you guys seen The Dark Knight Rises, the movie? No? The Dark Knight Rises? Probably came out when you guys were like 5 or 6. Actually. No, it's not. Yeah, it's not. There's a famous scene there where Batman fights Bane in Wall Street, and they filmed that scene there. And also a bank robbery scene. It's in the stock exchange. But we're not going there to, geek out about Batman. That's just me. We're going there to see the biggest stock exchange in the world. The Fearless Girl. There's a statue there. The Charging Bull, Bowling Green. Actually, I think stocks. The entire stock market internationally begins in New York and it ends in London or something like that. There's a cycle, and it either begins or ends in New York. After that, we're going to go to Bowling Green Park, and then Staten Island Ferry, right? Whitehall Terminal looks like this. Have you guys been on Staten Island Ferry before? Yeah? Yeah. You guys have seen Spider-Man, right? The movie? Yeah. Tom Holland? That's the ferry, the orange ferry. If the boat splits open, I hope you guys know how to swim. There's no Spider-Man there. I'll help you guys. Alright, once we get on the boat, we're going to get off at Staten Island. This is Empire Outlets. There's a couple restaurants inside here. You guys can go inside here and have fun, relax, eat some good food, enjoy the view. Then we're going to come back and walk through Battery Park. It's a really nice part of town. Great views. I recommend biking there, actually. Then there's the Korean War Memorial. There's one right here. That and the Federal Hall National Museum. It's back to the same place that we've been before. We're going to spend 40 minutes inside the museum. Okay? And admission is free. So, that's the entire itinerary. That's what it's going to look like. Are there any questions so far? I want things to be crystal clear. Yes, Chloe.
So the only money we need to bring is for food.
Yeah. Food, water, transportation, if you're taking the subway. Okay. No questions. Alright guys. Well, that's kind of over lunchtime. Enjoy your lunch. I'll see you guys back here at 2:35, yeah? Alright.